And we're live. Hello, my siblings in Christ, and welcome to another live stream. I should note that the pencils in the thumbnail are a complete lie because I need that pencil mug in order for me to, well, in order for me to hold the phone, because that is how I record. No fancy recording equipment here, just a phone in a pencil case. So that's fun. And of course I couldn't rearrange the stream, so I had one failed attempt, which is much better. Hi Michael. Hi Kay. Nice to meet you guys. Not meet you. I know you guys from before. Nice to see you here. These are all fine and dandy. Hi Mike. If Angela's not there, say hi, say hello to her from me. Well, we have assembled a crowd already. So, yeah. Well, that is what you get when you work in healthcare. Sometimes things just don't go as you would want them to go, right? I have been having this headache for the entire day, so if I sound strange, that is why it is. I have no idea why. Well, lack of sleep and poor sleeping schedule, but you know. I met with a very good friend of mine for coffee, and I've been saying such utmost nonsense, non sequiturs and all, but I took this headache medicine, so hope that will resolve the issue, and if doesn't, it is what it is. I got that expression from M, the guy with whom I record the podcast, and he always, when he's making peace with destiny, he always says, it is what it is. So sometimes that is all you can really do, right? I'm simply drawing at random right now. I mean, this is no particular Bible verse, but thank God there are so many of them that this will be an easy drawing to fit into one of the many Bible verses. Recently I've been trying to draw with ink. Sadly, I can't remember where I put my sketch booklet, so hi Sean, hi gamer. Oh, I will, gamer. What's the name of your grandfather? I also got notified today that the grandfather of one of my friends has also died, yesterday, so may the Lord grant comfort to your family and peace to your grandfather. Sean, it is one of the Q&As. I will check. It will take me a minute or two. I need to check which one it is. So just bear with me. and we'll find it easily. One moment, please. It is in Q&A 6. That's where it's at. That isn't a sinful question. That is an everyday question. Well, you know, that is a skill that you simply have to learn over time. You know, to approach. It really much depends how much how much self-confident you are, and self-confidence, that is something that you have to learn. You know. Simply go with it. Simply approach the girl. You know. There's absolutely nothing that you will lose if she rejects you. You know. And see in the possible rejection, see the possibility, you know, for your self-confidence to grow, ironic as it is. Heather, I think I saw one video. If that's the girl who's attended a Latin mass at one point and then shared her very stellar opinion of it, I saw one video of her. And from what I can remember, she was very chipper, upbeat, and everything. And I liked her a lot, you know. If that's her, so. Hi, Arden. Doing fine here. Got a bit of a headache, but otherwise I'm doing fine. Nikolaus, no, you don't lose self-esteem because you don't have it in the first place because you're shy. You know, you don't lose self-esteem. You will just get better at. It's called rejection therapy. You need to get used to things not going your way. You know, simply say, Lord, they will be done. Approach the girl, ask her out, and if she says no, there are many other fish in the girl sea. So it's past midnight, Michael. Pomoże Bóg w ognisy. Well, you know, if you like the Latin Mass, you simply cannot have a poor opinion of the Divine Liturgy. You know, it all goes hand in hand in a way. So. I must say, I don't follow too many Christian channels on the Great White YouTube, primarily because I mostly go to YouTube, you know, to unwind, to watch Jenna Marbles do weird stuff to her dogs and so on. You know, it's just for me to unwind. You know, I do watch a lot of Bishop Robert Barron, so. So if any one of you is wondering why I'm not subscribed to many Christian YouTube channels, there's your answer. Because, you know, I read books, I hang out with Christians and so on. I still have no idea where I'm going with this drawing, so... Well, Sean, if you've been to Vespers, you have a pretty good idea what the Divine Liturgy is supposed to look like. But of course, it really depends, you know, how well attended it was. And of course, because the Divine Liturgy is something that priests will pay special attention to make it beautiful, festive, and everything. Hi, Houston. Nice to meet you, man. Trying to illustrate this, but I think it'll be fine. I think. Creating a little bit of a community here. I'm so glad I managed to post that video, so... Oh, sure, Edx. Hi, Jayberg. Feel free to ask whatever you want. No, I haven't heard that, Erden. Iraden. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Hi, Patricia. But it is good to be financially independent from the government. You know, in Serbia, I would say that the government gives a lot of money to the church, but you know, it is problematic in its own way because the church is in a way subjugated to the government. You know, the old Byzantine model. We always keep hearing how, you know, the two-headed eagle, one head is the church, one head is the state, and it is all fine and dandy, but you know, I don't think it was ever that. I doubt that it ever worked that way in practice. So, well, doing great here, Jay Berg. Thank you for your question. Well, Heather, personally, I like dark comedy much more than I let on in the videos. Much more. You know, it really depends on how dark. You know. I don't know who said it. I think it was Chesterton, but don't you know? Don't quote me on that. That maybe it was Lewis. He said something along the lines of the first humor was the first humor was about the gallows. So. Truth be told, we generally find things funny that are, you know, awkward, that are taboo, and so on. So there is a very specific reasons that you like that sort of humor. Goodbye, Kai. I'm trying to connect this with a charger, but it is very difficult. Okay, well, maybe this will work. Yeah, I know. Orthodox Church can be very difficult to actually locate because, well, I don't say that we're that bad at missionary work. I mean, we are, but it is primarily because of the. It is primarily because we were under the Muslims so much that we simply lost. We simply lost. That habit or that missionary spirit, you know, because not doing missionary work was actually your way of surviving. Because if you were caught doing missionary work, you know, the entire Christian community would be obliterated. So, well, I prefer Byzantine, but hi, Emily. I prefer Byzantine, but you know, it really much depends. Sometimes I like Russian choir, but and besides there are many things that you can you know, qualify as Russian, because you have Znameni chant, you have polyphony, you have a lot of styles. So I think that as long as it's done in the glory of God, it doesn't really matter that much. The sole issue I have with polyphony is, and this is nothing new, this is something that people know. It makes participation in a service a little bit different because you don't know which voice you're supposed to be, you know. It looks majestic and everything, but does it... but, you know, does it help you worship the Lord? I mean, it creates a great atmosphere for that, but... Ed, there is a video on Bible Illustrated Hands called something along the lines of actually I will get you the link right away. What should I do if there is no Orthodox church around me? But go as much as you can, and if it's only on special occasions, fine, go on special occasions. You know, a lot of hermits didn't, attended church only on special feast days, for example. I'm not saying that you should have that approach because you're not an ascetic, but if that's the best you can do due to objective circumstances, that is the best you can do. And thank God for that, you know. Some people can't even attend the church at all. So, you know, simply pray. There is a service called Typica. It is essentially a layman's liturgy without the consecration of the gifts and communion. So I suggest that you read that service. On Sundays, or on special feast days when you can't attend. Make Sunday extra special. I mean, that is a general advice, but it's even more if you can't actually attend the liturgy. So I found the video. Michael, generally, they're mixed, but I generally like him a lot because he has spread orthodoxy a lot in the US thanks to his influence. I do consider him a very big, I do consider him a great repentant, he did translate a lot. There are some things that I don't like. His fan base is something that could be a little better, because if you watch my latest video, Bad Reasons to Convert, I noticed that he's very popular among those cultists, and I'm not a fan of that type of people. But ironically, I rarely read from him something that I disagree with, even if at all. Of course, okay, I'm not a huge fan of Toll Houses, but in general, thank God for him. In general, I mean, thank God for him completely, but but that's just me. This is my personal opinion / relationship to him. So it's Typica. I type it. I'll type it. Glad you like it, J. Berg. Orthodox lunatic. I heard of him. Let me just check. Let me just double check if he is the guy that I'm thinking of. It never hurts to double check. Yeah. Yeah, I heard of him. I watched a couple of his videos, and I like them. I don't know much about the guy, and I saw that there are people who are great admirers of him, and I think that he has done good job at presenting orthodoxy. Again, I don't know much about him, but he seems fine. Yeah, well, there you go. Socrates to the rescue. Thank you so much. These things can happen, In Belgrade, it is not much of an issue because, we have a lot of priests, so even if a priest gets sick, he can usually find some of his priest friends to replace him. So I don't think I have actually experienced a liturgy being completely cancelled, So, Sarah, hi. I didn't know. I didn't see you there. In Serbia, we're on old calendar, So for us, Christmas, that is Advent Fest, will begin in some 2 weeks. So if you Orthodox guys are on new calendar, I think it begins tomorrow. But for us, it is in 2 weeks. Ed, there's yeah. Well, I don't know, Alexander. Facebook, not Facebook, YouTube notifications can get very wonky, and that is why people hit the bell icon and however you call it. So precisely because they want to be sure that they get notifications, but I'm not sure how much of use that would be with my channel, because at least here I post often. I slowed it down a little bit, but you're not going anywhere, Mike. Well, actually, my iconography classes have morphed into general drawing illustration classes. And this was arranged with my teacher because we realized that we needed that, because I needed some groundwork. I mean, I'm an amateur after all. I'm self-taught, and while that can be neat and everything, I still need to actually know how to draw, and so we're starting with that, and later on we will continue with iconography. I'll show you my first icon. Moment. Here he is. It's Saint Thomas the Apostle. It's on cardboard, sadly, and to be quite honest, I didn't expect him to turn out like this, because the model that I used looked next to nothing like him, but he did turn out by accident like those Roman and the ancient Roman and the Greek portraits, especially done in wax, in soft wax. So that's St. Thomas for you. No specific reason, I sort of like St. Thomas. He's difficult to dislike. Heather, that is any hope for Janissaries, Christian boys who gotten given over to Ottomans by parents to avoid further pillaging to enter heaven. That is literally something between them and the Lord. And I know that the Lord will be very, very understanding of their situation, because they were basically brainwashed. They were brainwashed to hate their previous nation, the people that they came from and everything. So I think that there is a way even for them, and I don't think that it will be technically much harder for them, because they're they're primarily victims, you know. So Sean, I could do tutorials, but the thing is, as I said, I'm self-taught, and I generally don't follow a specific system. I can try to make a tutorial, but I have no idea how actually. I actually have no idea how I should structure it. You know, so. Well, Emily, I will definitely try Saint Basil at least sometime. So. Oh, that's nice, Socrates. That's very nice. But at least, you know, at least you have someone to check on your progress without, you know, it being online. And thank you, Alexander. Yeah, I wasn't too happy with the eyes because he constantly looks surprised. So, what's my favorite icon? I'm trying to think of it. You know. I think that Vladimir, Mother of God, is definitely one of the most beautiful icons in existence. You know, I like that one a lot. So, yeah, Paul is a pretty likable guy. I mean, aren't they all? Always witnessing our sins and still praying for us. So. Well, yeah, actually, this entire channel is basically one big tutorial, sort of. But again, I dislike calling it tutorial because again, there's no structure. It is all very haphazard. There is one subscriber, I can't remember his name, so I apologize in advance, who keeps saying that he simply cannot wrap his head around me not using a sketch under the ink. So I do that for majority of my drawings, but when I draw with markers, I don't do it. I simply let it unwind and see what happens. So. Oh yeah, those are two those two are very beautiful. All of Rublev's icons are simply stunning. Yeah, we call her Lady of the Passion because of archangels bearing the instruments of the Passion. Well, yeah, I would describe it like that as well. Fun. But you know, it's nice hearing that from, you know, a professional. So. So it's not like it is a random layman's opinion. Nothing wrong with those, of course, but you know, it's nice to actually hear it from a professional because their opinions are extra nice. If you guys have any suggestions what I should add to this, I sort of regret drawing these lines here, so I will probably delete them at a later. Yeah, Craig. Yeah, I am. I'm a huge fan of Jonathan because, first of all, he's a very good artist. In his, just that is really admirable. But especially his symbolic world series, which is much needed in today's world. So I like him a lot. Well, Mike, let me tell you the dark story behind animated Orthodox cartoon series. For my second channel anniversary, I did make a cartoon, Fridges and Balloons, on my main channel. I've lost sleep over it. I've been drawing constantly for a month, and this is really generous for a cartoon, because this is because with a cartoon, if you finish it in a month, you're it's not a very detailed cartoon. Let's put it that way. I kept drawing and drawing, losing sleep. Literally, every time I wasn't at work, I was drawing. I missed the gym. I missed birthdays. I missed people, everything. And I die. Literally. Okay, not literally. Figuratively. I die. I post it, and to this day, Fridges and Balloons gets 2,000 views. I was like, man, this isn't worth it. I actually wanted to make a longer cartoon based on the life of Saint Justina and Saint Cyprian, the repentant sorcerer. But with my, with all the things I have to do right now, I have no idea how that will work, at least at the moment. So I hope to do it someday, at least. Thanks, Kay. Dimitra, I only made one so far. It's Saint Thomas, and he's here, and it's on cardboard. I could. Nice one, Kay. I suppose if I framed this, it would look relatively okay. Right now, I have an unfinished icon of Saint Mary Magdalene. I don't have it here, and I have a picture on my phone, so that does not work at the moment. So, but I will post an image of it as soon as it's over. Nikolaus, simply start drawing. That's the best. Take an icon that you like and simply copy it. Copy from it. That is the best way. And when I say copy, I don't mean don't do this. Like when kids are trying to trace, but simply take your favorite icon, put it next to it, and simply try to copy. And after some time, you will notice that you will that you're making some progress. For example, before I started drawing Bible Illustrated, this is how I drew an eye, like this. And okay, it's an eye. But after I started drawing icons, it morphed into this. You know? So you will catch these as you go along. So hi Raul, sorry. I will. You just need to follow me on Instagram or on Facebook page. It'll probably be one of the verses that deals with the resurrection. So Nicolaus, those are fake. Trust me. I know about the occult, and those books of Saint Cyprian, those spell books, have all the markings of medieval magic. They definitely weren't written by a 3rd century Greek magician, you know? Especially because those books, you know, magic, what we call magic today was in most cases a sort of, hi Paris, what we call magic today was most in most cases trying to, so to speak, force a miracle from a pagan deity, you know. So Greeks had a very different view of magic. Ancient Greeks had a very different view of magic than us Christians did, and I planned to make a video on it. I probably will at some point, maybe even relatively soon. We'll see, because it requires a lot of research. And if any one of you has ever investigated occult and magic, you'll know how difficult magic is to actually define. Oh, thank you, Raul. Magic is practically a Judeo-Christian category. You know, what we call magic is simply a typical rite or religious practice among non-Christians. You know, so there is no objective way of defining magic. And you know, when you see claims that those books were written by Saint Cyprian, and when you read those books and they claim, you know, they pray to one God, no, don't believe it. Oh, hi Angela, please tell her hi. Hi Ex Cathedra. So a user by the name of Ex Cathedra has found evidence against people's supremacy and infallibility. Call that ironic. I'll make a video on it, because it is really interesting. Early Christian dealing with magic was mostly seen as a relapse towards old religious practices. You know, it was seen as superstition. Early Christians didn't put much stock into magic, you know. It was far from hysteria that erupted in the Middle Ages. And by the way, guys, whenever you hear about Christians hunting witches and everything, there is a very good reason why they did it. I mean, it isn't a justifiable reason, but look at it this way. You have Black Death that decimates entire Europe, and who dies? Elderly people die. People who have experience in spiritual life die. And you have all the markings of an apocalypse with Black Death, and of course that will cause hysteria. That would cause hysteria even now, when we are so smart and enlightened and everything. And when all the spiritual masters died, you're left with young hotshots and hotheads who have no one to look up to. And of course they will do silly things, you know. Well, Heather, you know, the thing is, people in the West generally don't understand what it was like under the Turks for 600 years. And there is, again, a very good reason why Romanians admire him. Well, whereas in the West, he's simply seen as a vampire, so... Dimitra, I'm all for it. I haven't heard his last album, because simply I don't listen to his music. So I can't really comment on it. I may at one point. By the way, guys, give me an idea about to draw. So well, of course, that messing with the occult is going to lead you dark places. I mean, it can't do anything. Uh, it can't do anything else. Okay, one Saint George coming up. I'll try not to mess him up. It depends what you mean by a building. Actually, no, my sketch booklet isn't here. I suppose I could be much better at drawing buildings. That was actually my most recent lesson when I was drawing with pencils. We were supposed to draw a building, so no, I don't think so. Paris uh, because artificial intelligence is still not artificial intelligence. Understand it in um, science fiction, because I mean, I suppose it can become idolatry, like everything can, but I don't think it is. Who said that? Who said that? If you could link me with that tweet, I'd be very much thankful. Oh, Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, they don't come here too often, so I think they were here once. Granny opened the door, and they simply threw the leaflets in the trash. That is as much as they're going to get from here. Fortunately, Granny had a pious grandson. Oh yeah, they're really great. I like using these pens a lot. And I wonder if I would start illustrating with um, with the color pencils if I found out about these sooner. So No, Mike, she wasn't. I suppose she was like, a typical Serb, like go every once in a while in church, light a candle, and that's it. And she didn't like me going to church because that is simply how things are in Serbia. You're essentially considered a religious fanatic if you attend a church regularly. I think it has changed a little bit in the recent years, but mostly it was like, why are you going on church? Why can't you pray? So, things like that. So, oh yeah, I like Stabilos. I mostly use those. Patriarch Prime. Let me check. Patriarch Prime. Is that like the username? Oh, I think I found him. Okay, it's definitely not this person. Ah, yeah. Okay, this one's really great. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, this was really good. Let me see how will I do the curls. I think this is fine. Well, Paris, as regards to video games, it's Ancient Domains of Mystery. It is an RPG. It is a roguelike, if you know what that is. It essentially means it's really difficult and that your character will die a lot. And there's no save game. So once your character dies, that's it. There's no way to load the game unless you do some lower duty scamming strategies. But as for movie, it is really difficult for me to say at this price. I suppose that a lot of people would sort of expect me to say, "Oh, it's Ostrov, the island." But I mean, it was a great movie, but I didn't really, fall for it as much as a lot of other Orthodox did. Which I mean, fine. People simply have different tastes, but. And there's your St. George. I just want to add the armor. And there you go. What is a Serbian classic movie? Well, there is this one that is sort of, famous. It's called Ko to tamo peva, or Who's Singing Back There? And it is a comedy about this bus that's basically falling apart, and the stories of its passengers. I think you can find the version of it with subtitles, English subtitles. Here we are. I didn't watch that one. I did see The Crucifixion, which is also based on Tanako exorcisms, but that one was bad. Actually, I want to, after I make a review of The Silence for the main channel, I'll do The Crucifixion, but the tone of that review will be much, much different than the Silence, because simply it is a very bad horror movie. No, Emily, I was literally never into Pokemon, Digimon, and generally a lot of things that came out of Japan that weren't Super Mario, so... Simply Pokemon, I simply missed out on the Pokemon, so... Yeah, I played all of those, and Spyro, and Crash, and Sonic, and... not Rainbow Six, that one I didn't play. Yeah, they assume that she died because... they assume that she died because of because the exorcisms were so draining, but it turned out that the doctors gave her too much. I think it was adrenaline. Her heart simply couldn't bear that much adrenaline, and that is why, in essence, she died. I'm a huge fan of Legend of Zelda. In fact, if you know how I draw demons, like dark shapes with white eyes, I directly took that from Link's Awakening, the nightmares, the final boss. So all of the demons I draw is a reference to the final boss of Link's Awakening. Well, the exorcism was real. The question was she really possessed, So, I don't know. In any case, it is a horrible tragedy. But I apologize. Oh. So tired. No, never. I never played Minecraft. Again, one of those games that I simply missed out because at one moment I simply stopped playing games, I simply returned to the old classics like Heroes of Might and Magic and those. And of course, Ancient Domains of Mystery. In fact, the reason why I was like 5 minutes late was because I was doing so well in that game, which is again extremely difficult, that I simply had to, finish, and it took me some time. Well, yes, an exorcism can fail. We have an example of that in the scripture when the sons of a particularly famous exorcist in the Acts are trying to exorcise a demon from a man, and they start using the name of Jesus, which is something that they clearly didn't do until that point, but the exorcism fails miserably, and the possessed man simply jumps at them and basically scatters them apart. So Actually, I never played any games, Zelda games after Link's Awakening. When they when they became 3D, they lost charm for me. So well, they are in a way present because Hemilikar, because in you have it with King Saul. You see that whenever future King David is playing his harp, that it eases his evil spirits. So in a way there is, but uh, but uh, I think that it was simply had to do with the evil that man did over time, and how they sank into sin. That is why you had such infestation of evil spirits by Jesus' time. So, oh, sorry to hear that, Emily. An exorcism can fail, and even that happens with the apostles. Um, it even says in the gospel, I can't remember the chapter and verse, but the apostles claim to Christ that they can't exorcise an evil spirit, and Christ responds, how much will I put up with you, O ye of little faith? Because they didn't have faith in him. And then he has that this kind, that is demons, are expelled only by prayer and fasting. So it does not mean that the possessed person can be healed. It means that the exorcist lacks faith. And um, of course, that uh, sometimes maybe it's even the will of God. We have that case with Molotovlev. He was the disciple of Saint Seraphim of Sarov, and soon after the death of Saint Seraphim, he got possessed. And pray as they might, and everything, they couldn't expel the spirits. But he got a bit of a revelation that it was a will of God for him to suffer as much as he did. He could still take communion and so on, but he was basically possessed, and he got liberated in the end. So it is a bit of a complex issue. To add some curls. Yeah, I like the ride, but I must say that I didn't like the last scene, that is the final confrontation, because it was a bit, too Hollywoody. But until that point, that was uh, um, Nicolaus. I haven't witnessed a typical exorcism, but that is what you refer to as exorcism. But I did witness many pre-baptismal exorcisms. The ones that are read over the people before baptism. And if you read those prayers, those are very typical exorcisms. Their language isn't any lighter than the exorcism rite. So in a way, I did not attend a typical exorcism, but I did those before. How do you mean? I mean, what is the exorcism language? Only after the serial. Never before. Never before. You know, it really depends what you mean by religious. We are very poor on church attendance, you know, but we are very big on how much we like the church. Here we simply, you know, most people like the church, respect the church, we respect the feast days, and so on. But still, many people don't actually attend. What do you mean by processed? Well, they can. And God forbid that they find out about that the hard way. I would assume that I would assume that those who claim that they cannot be possessed also believe that they cannot be you know, that they cannot be damned. So, who's my favorite saint? Well, Saint George. I like all of the angels. I like my guardian angel a lot. I like Saint Spiridon, Saint Nectarios, Saint Seraphim of Sarov. I really like Saint Xenia of Petersburg, Saint Herman of Alaska. Who else was Saint John the Baptist? I really like him and his parents, Elizabeth and Zachary. I really like Saint John Chrysostom. Did I miss anyone? I probably did. Saint Luke of Crimea, for example, Saint John the Russian. There are so many. And I haven't been to Mount Athos as of yet, so I hope to go at one point. We'll see. Nathaniel, yes, absolutely. I think that women are much more pious than men in general. In fact, I was just thinking today that when there is a confession line in my parish church, it's like 90% women. You know. Chemical exorcism means to bind by an oath, because we abjure demons by the name of Christ. Well, he's finished. I think that women are much more in touch with their heart, and men are more in touch with their brain and something else. But that Christ primarily dwells in the heart. You know, he sanctifies the brain and the kidneys and everything, but his primary dwelling place is within the heart. And that is why I believe that women are much more devout than men. Nice, nice, Mike. I probably will, but it will take years because the only thing I have read from Dostoevsky is Crime and Punishment, and that was like 10 years ago. If no, it was 12 years ago, or even 15 years ago. So I have a lot of catching up to do. Well, guys, it's been an hour and 2 drawings later. I think we should call it a night. Oh yeah, and Emily, that is a very good point. That is a very good point. Thank you for joining me for the live stream. Again, I will try to keep this up on Fridays evening. Yeah, that's precisely. So, so thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you all in the next live stream. So, bye, guys. I'll let you guys finish chatting, so I don't want to interrupt. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you so much again.